rend les choses faciles. Et sèche-moi ces larmes de crocodile.
We're recording.
Oh, already?
Already.
I lost count. 7?
7.
Lucky number 7.
You guys are very, very positive about that.
7. Did you think we'd make it to 7? I did.
Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna stop.
No. As much as people probably wanted to. It's
Yeah.
not.
They're like, yeah, guys.
Eh, they're back again.
What can they talk about now?
Well, there's an endless topic.
I think
Supply of topics.
I think one thing that we didn't live up on is the fact that we'd be more mobile with our podcast.
Yeah.
It'll happen.
We moved to this new desk today.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
moved.
actually a new location.
I think it was more out of necessity.
Yeah.
Than
Got a lot
wanting
of
to do
other
it.
things going on in other places.
Yeah. That's good though.
So
Growing every day.
growing every day, and it's going to be harder and harder to shoot these.
Showing and growing.
Yeah. So today we're going to talk about, I guess, the website update that we talked about last podcast.
Yeah.
We're talking about our laboratory kits. And if you've been on our website before, you'll see it's a little different. You can also check out John Widovic. He's one of our endurance coaches. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think the update to the website really kind of is much more of a focus is where we're going as a brand.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what our clients and team members have wanted. I think so. We've taken all of our knowledge base and testing and skill set to combine certain, I don't want to call them packages, but we call them kits that I think better serve the needs of endurance athletes, generally speaking. So as an endurance athlete, you might say, okay, well, I'm not sure what I need.
Mm-hmm.
And then with the way we have things structured now, if you check out our website, you'll get a much better understanding of what is available to you. And, oh, wow, I didn't know that existed. This is something I've been having problems with. Okay, here's a solution to it. Again, this is a whole new world that really hasn't been accessible to the public in the past. So I think now it gives people much better understanding of what we can offer and the power of what we have to offer people. Really.
Yeah, I think what we've put together, it really tailors a lot of the testing that we do to different areas, and it puts things together in a logical form so that people don't, again, so you don't have to think as much about your training. Like, it's all right there in front of you, and we've already told you the things that work the best together to give you the most information to explore a certain area and make improvements in a certain area.
I think it can be overwhelming at first, like we were saying. People come in and we have all this stuff we want to show them. We're so excited about everything that it's hard to kind of explain it to someone who's not in the same on the in as we are. So I think through our research and through having our clients in and team members in over the last 6 months or so, it's kind of really made it much easier to say, okay, this is what people really want, and this is the way it should be structured.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just go ahead and do that. Combining our knowledge base with all of this testing into one, explained out lab kit.
I think to kind of piggyback off what you guys are saying, it all starts with a thorough needs analysis, and then we can kind of focus in on, where the shortfalls of that particular athlete are, what they really need, and then suggest the appropriate kit from there. If it's someone who's completely new, then something like an initial discovery where you run everything and you establish a baseline for them and for their future performance and go from there.
And I think what we were seeing in the first few months of being open is that we'd get contacted and somebody would be like, I heard this one test was really great. And then in talking to them further, it was like, well, your issue lies before that, and you really, to solve that issue, you need X, Y, and Z, or maybe more than that to really get to the point where you want to go. So, again, just trying to streamline that process so that you get as much as you can with the time that you spend putting in for it.
Yeah, I think some people might see they need to take a couple steps back before they can actually start moving forward again. RMR is a big one. People are having problems with, weight management, which can be a huge issue for endurance athletes. Every pound you have to carry around over, 10, 20, whatever miles that's more work that you have to do. So.
Yeah. So I think like incorporating the different services and, like we said, our analysis into packages really defines the brand much more so, I think, than what we had before. We said, we have all this cool stuff, and people call maybe about one test that they heard about or through a different manufacturer, for that company or whatever it might be, and they say, okay, yeah, we have that, but look, all this other stuff we have that works hand in hand with what you're saying, to give you much better in-depth perspective of what you're trying to get at. And just through going through those steps over the time period, and again growing as a brand, that direction became a lot more evident. And I think, again, just looking through the website, the endurance athlete who might not know anything about testing, I think will have a much better idea of what's available to them.
Absolutely.
I think what's nice about it too is you can, kind of pick and choose and customize. If you have someone who is going off to, train or compete in the heat, then we could combine something with Moxie, doing the testing with Moxie in the blue heat room, and seeing exactly what happens, to their oxygenation when they start to increase core body temperature.
So maybe the best thing we can do is just briefly hit on some of the bigger kits that we have, so just people listening will know, like, oh, maybe that's the right thing for me.
Yeah.
So the big one is the Discovery, and I think we've probably talked about that before, and that is something that looks at all the pillars at one time, whereas some of the other ones look at maybe one or two of them. I think
it's really the best expression of what Four3 is all about is the Discovery.
Yeah, I think it's like all-encompassing experience for what we're doing.
Yeah, it takes all of our experience combined with all of our state-of-the-art testing into one package where you learn so much about yourself that
it is that true snapshot of where you are.
It's really unbelievable the amount of data and information you can learn that can make dramatic changes for you in training and just as an athlete in general. I think setting that baseline to know where improvements lie. Heart rate, blood pressure, all that stuff is wonderful, but when you have other objective data, like the stuff we're able to find out, that numbers that you didn't even know existed or what they meant, and now you have that power with you, it just makes, you can specify your training much, much more effectively.
Yeah. It oftentimes explains, the plateaus that you've seen, the struggles that you have, why you're bonking out in certain areas.
Right.
It becomes glaringly obvious so quickly, and you see it in people's eyes. Like all of a sudden when you say, well, there's this piece of information and this piece, and they go together and lead to this, and they're like, that's it.
Yeah, we have coaches, sending us athletes, saying, I have this program. The athlete's been doing the program consistently. They're not improving. So they're hitting some kind of wall somewhere that's not based on this program, and whatever it is not letting them progress in this program. And that's the beauty, I think, of Discovery is we'll find out what that is, and then it can be addressed.
Yep.
Right.
And then so branching off the Discovery is just our programming packages, which naturally
comes off of the Discovery, because we can do your programming based off of the Discovery.
Yeah,
so that's how you're going to get the most bang for it.
We like to call it our X programming based on dedication level. So, meaning 1X one time a week, or 2X 2 times a week. A lot of that is determined by your availability, as well as what's found in the Discovery. Like each athlete's going to have more or less needs than someone else.
Right.
And ultimately, what the athlete's goals are. If they're looking to qualify for a race, qualify for Boston, qualify for Kona, and they have a lot of things to work on, more dedication is going to see more results. If you're, maybe new to the sport and you're just like, I'm just trying to get my feet wet and I just want to work on these 1 or 2 things, lesser dedication will get you there. So again, tailor to the athlete's lifestyle.
Yeah, that baseline that we find from the Discovery, we then develop a whole month's program out for you, based on the needs from that. I mean, it's the most personalized, training that I can come up with, and I think it's so much more than training. It really is programming. We're mapping out soft tissue needs, musculoskeletal needs, strength conditioning needs,
metabolic stuff,
cognitive. I mean, the whole gamut of what you need as an athlete to improve is addressed.
Take into account lifestyle factors,
Work
and stress, and
nutrition.
I think probably next to discovery the most important thing that we can offer athletes, and get the most bang for your buck and improvement. I think it's fantastic.
And then after that is the race fuel analysis, which is, it's a lot of the testing that we do in the discovery, and it's some of it. Not a lot. I think it's nice. It's a nice adjunct to discovery. It's
really the one area where most athletes, at least triathletes, are the weakest, and marathoners are the weakest, where they put a lot of time into their run, bike, swim training, and then they're throwing the nutrition aspect together at the end, or they're just using something that they've seen somebody else use, or that they've just always used and thought, well, this must be working, or they read an article online and they're like, well, that's probably how much I should take, or I've always used this product, I want to keep using this product. And when in reality, general products that you buy out there are for the general public. They're taking averages on what people need in terms of calories, in terms of electrolytes, the timing of things, how you're utilizing things throughout a race. It's specific to each person, and I don't think it's given enough credit. So this is actually one of my favorite rounds of testing to do, because it leads to very good conversation, and it leads to this eye-opening experience with people that it's like, wow, if I just fix these one or two things, those DNFs that I had, or that weak second half of the run might completely go away. And oftentimes it does. I
think that piece alone can make dramatic changes for a lot of athletes, because, like you're saying, this lack of a personalized, plan, whether it's hydration plan, nutrition plan, not knowing your baseline resting metabolic rate, or how many calories you're expending. I mean, simple things that kind of people are like, oh yeah, I think I know X, Y, Z, and we see world-class athletes that really don't know this information because they just don't know this testing's available, really. I
think next to recovery, which we discussed in our last podcast, it's the most underutilized method for improving performance. And it can,
nutrition and make hydration. Such an effective, exactly. It can make such an effective change. Again, it's one of the more popular services next to Discovery. Lab kits that we have to offer, and I think for that reason alone, it's an avenue where people are not well versed in it and know that they need something there, but they just don't know what they need. What they need.
What's next on the list?
Blue Heat.
All right, Blue Heat. So that's utilizing the temperature controlled room that we have, and especially this time of year, and most races and most events that our athletes are going to, a lot of them, they take place in hot temperatures, and you're not always able to train that way, or you're not always able to monitor things the way that you want. So the Blue Heat kit kind of gives you that staple to, one, see how you're performing in heat prior to your event, and two, to acclimate to the heat and really just get your body versed in that other factor that you're going to be facing. So it gives you, I think, 5 1-hour sessions, and you're able to go in there the week 10 days before your race, because that's what research has shown will help you acclimate to those temperatures and really get your hydration aspect down while you're in there, see how you're recovering in between, what you need to do to prep to go in, just all this different information that you might not be able to control otherwise.
I think that, again, sorry to interrupt, but I think that's a really good point, is you have a much better understanding of how your body's going to react in these climates, because you might think one thing, you get there, and then, that anxiety and nervousness of, oh my gosh, this is not what I thought was going to happen, I'm sweating so much more, what's going to happen? All of that is kind of quelled beforehand. And you can feel so much more confident going in. I know how I'm going to respond. I've got my hydration plan set. And I'm ready to rock.
What's good about that package is, it gives you the ability to tweak what you need to do before race time, right? Because once you're racing, you're not going to be able to tinker with your hydration. You're not going to be able to tinker with all those factors that we can help control.
Gives you that psychological benefit of going in, knowing what to expect. And we saw some phenomenal results with the motorsport athletes we were working with. 20 beats per minute lower in heart rate, and even in the heat, 130 degrees,
big change
inside of a car.
And there are benefits to training in the heat, even if you're not necessarily racing in that hot of a temperature. So
from a body composition standpoint,
if you train at 90, 100, 110 degrees, and then you only race at 80 degrees, you're going to be smoking everybody.
Changes out, training at altitude and all of that, coming back down to lower sea level. heights, I mean, you have that one up on everyone else. You're working that much more efficiently.
And then after that, which is all about our last podcast, is the 4-3 recovery.
Yeah, so 4-3 recovery basically encompasses, some of the things we talked about in the last podcast, a lot of manual therapy stuff, so the dry needling, grafting, some soft tissue work. Getting that hands-on treatment is very valuable. It's,
I think
probably the quickest way to heal.
I think between that and nutrition, I think, as far as effectiveness and improving your overall performance, I think those two, can go hand in hand very well and make dramatic changes. It's a lot of things that you're not doing now, that's where we come in, really.
And you also get to utilize the Normatec boots and the
compact.
So basically, we took our own anecdotal experience along with as much research that we could find on various recovery methods, and we've put it all together to the most effective and efficient package available, I think, for recovery. Again, that's kind of the overriding theme of everything we do here is we want to be the most efficient and effective means of doing it. And your time is valuable, our time is valuable. We want our athletes to get the most they can in that short amount of time.
Right.
So again, all these kits I think really encompass that mindset. Not to mention the personalization of everything, generally speaking, I think is fantastic. Giving you like that idea that we've been talking about now is, well, we don't want to leave anything on the table.
Right.
You might be doing, like we were saying before, a hydration strategy that's, okay, I'm taking these tablets, but against a generalized approach, well, what am I missing out on that I could be getting by a much more individualized plan for me? Like, where's the rest of that ceiling? Or maybe I'm taking too much. Maybe that's counterproductive. So I think these kits really help to give you that idea in the back of your head. Okay, look, my nutrition's handled. I know it's the best it's going to be.
Right.
My recovery is the best it's going to be. My mobility is the best it's going to be. And taking all of those pressures and anxieties off of you so you can focus on your training and focus on the race. I mean, that alone can make huge improvements.
There's a confidence of scientifically knowing what your body needs, doesn't need.
That's it.
Where you can improve, where you've where you're at the best you could be, and we can give you that confidence, which is a really good thing to feel.
Oh, sure.
Going into a race, it's confidence is key. It sounds corny, but like if you're standing there at the start line and you're questioning 50% of what needs to be happening in that day, that's not a good feeling.
It's like studying for a test. If you study beforehand and you're prepared for that test, you feel confident going in. I know this material. It's the same thing knowing your body before the race. It's the same idea. The more I know and I'm prepared and I know this are my strengths, these are my weaknesses, I've done as much as I can to improve those weaknesses. Let's do this kind of mentality.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
So our next kit is the limiting factor VO2 max.
Yeah, and I'm going to combine this conversation a little bit with one of our other ones, which is the FTP plus Moxie, because they kind of go hand in hand in the equipment that you use, but you're just looking at things a little bit differently in terms of the data for the athlete. So basically, VO2 max has been the gold standard for things in terms of your ability to perform, and then the Moxie is something new that people are looking at, muscle oxygen. So when you combine those two things, you're able to see, is it your cardio that's given out on you first, or is it the muscles that you're using? Are you not getting enough oxygen to them anymore? So using those two data points, you're able to see which one's dropping off first, like where are you plateauing and what are you missing out on? Because if you think it's your cardio and you're really having to stop the test because your quads just aren't getting enough blood flow, or maybe it's just one leg that's not getting enough blood flow for some reason, you could train your cardio all you want. You're not going to get there.
It's not the limiting factor.
It's not the limiting factor on things. So it's going to be different. It might be different for you on the run versus the bike. You might do great on the run, but your cardio starts to give out. And then on the bike, it might be your legs and your muscles that give out first. Yeah,
you tend to see people that are a little bit more lower body dominant do a little bit better on the cycling. Mm-hmm. People that are a little bit more, elastic in nature tend to do a little bit better on the run.
I think that really, again, goes along to define out also the limiting factor. Okay, now you know where to be training, like you were saying. Like maybe I haven't been doing any strength and conditioning, which we all know for endurance athletes can make dramatic improvements in performance, especially in the tail end of a race, posture and mechanics and everything. So I think those are, again, valuable tools in and of themselves.
And with the FTP, I mean, FTP has become the standard for how you're setting your power ranges on the bike. And if you're stopping that test or you're not performing as well on that test and seeing gains, and you think it's because of your cardio and it's because of your quads and your legs, you're never going to, you have to tailor your training to that then. So that's where like us talking to coaches comes in. It's like, well, we're seeing them on the bike and it's really, the endurance of their muscles that are giving out, that they're just not getting enough. Maybe we need to shift them more towards endurance-based intervals as opposed to those higher cardio and more demanding intervals in that sense.
I think being able to separate out, more central versus peripheral fatigue is huge. You can really kind of hone in on what they need.
And then also drive, supplementation, what you're taking nutritionally, going back to all those pieces of the puzzle. So very valuable stuff that I honestly don't see too many other people doing. So kind of pat ourselves on the back, but it's not really being done in that way.
And you could even add in spirometry to see what their lung volumes are doing. And, is there a limitation there? Do they have some kind of restriction there that's preventing them from ventilating fully?
True.
So our next kit is Lunch on the Run, which I think is a really cool one, and something
and I think that brings up a good point before we get into that.
Okay.
Also, Lunch on the Run kind of hits at, these kits are not one-time things. They need to be repeated throughout the course of your year, especially when you start to change your training periodization, or after the race season, before the race season, everything. You need to be setting these baselines to find out where you are, and then also retesting to make sure you're making progress. And I think, let you speak about it, but I think Lunch on the Run is a good example of something that repeated kind of testing that can be quick and dirty and give you a nice idea from an objective standpoint with real numbers as to where you're at, and okay, did I improve from what I've been trying to do?
Lunch on the Run is a good thing to think about doing after maybe done the race fueling analysis, or you're at the end of your season and you're looking for maybe a shift in your body composition in that off season, and you're looking to see like, all right, where do I stand right now that I've just raced? I just had the end of my season, and what do I need to do to get that change? Do you want to be dropping body weight in general? Do you want to be shifting to higher muscle mass? And this could be the start of it, because this will help with determining all of your daily nutrition and looking at your metabolic rate again and seeing those shifts and what you want to get, and then following up with it.
I think going back to what you were saying as far as testing and then retesting at certain intervals, what works for someone in months 1 through 3 isn't necessarily going to be what they need in months 6 through 8. So having those periods where you retest and see where you're at that particular time is really important for programming going forward.
Exactly, and that gets back to the programming and using those data points to determine where you should be progressing. It's doing the same random exercises at some gym or with some personal trainer that's not specific to you and your needs in the same program month after month, with no regard to where you are in season or anything like that, is a complete waste of time.
Go to your local health club and you'll see how that works out for
you. Again, that whole idea of you're leaving so much on the table, not to mention it could be detrimental to what to your sport as well. I mean, if you're doing proper training, but another topic.
That could be the next one.
So I think we hit.
Yeah, I mean, we just,
Yeah, so,
I mean, you can, like we were saying, like all these are.
So again, the tests are available. If you just want the data yourself without analysis, that's all can be a la carte options for that. We'll just give you the raw data. You can take it home, analyze it if you want. Try,
bring it to your coach.
Bring it to your coach or whatever you want. That's all.
And we're
possible.
all about working
but I
with
think
your coaches.
Really incorporating, our analysis is an invaluable tool along with just the test. I mean, it's like an MRI. An MRI says you need of your back, and I need back surgery. Without looking at the person as a whole, and going to a specialist who looks at this data all day long, like we do. I think is very valuable.
I mean, we talked about it last podcast. you really have to be aware of who's looking at you. Like, you know, we're experts in this, and this is what we focus on every day, Monday through Sunday.
This is our passion.
What we do.
Yeah.
But again, those tests are available. You know, you can take the data with you and do as you see fit. Also, we can mix and match some and kind of make a little custom blend, we call it, of different tests based on your needs. So if you find you don't specifically fall into one of the lab kits as far as your needs, just give us a call, shoot us an email. We can put together pricing and a nice package for you based on whatever you need.
Yeah.
All
I mean,
right.
it's all about you. That's the thing.
Yeah,
like, that's what we wanna,
personalization, not leaving anything on the table.
We've just tried to make it as easy as possible.